Hello, I'm Interweb Studios and today I will tell the tale of the crazy landlord known as Bucket Women. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your opinions Bucket and Women. And with that, let the saga begin. I posted this in r/am I the asshole, and someone suggested I post here. My kids and I moved house in March. Day 2 in my new house, and I tripped over a broken paver. Didn't break anything, but I still needed surgery, a 3-night hospital stay, and a full leg brace for 2 weeks. While I was in hospital, my partner, formerly ex-partner now reconciled, it's complicated, Martin, dad, sister, bestie and her wife had formed an emergency team. They kept my kids and pets safe and fed, and finished the unpacking. Dad and Martin did a little garden work, removing the broken paver and laying some old fence posts along the fence where next door's dog was digging through. Week 1 I hobbled to the letterbox, and met next door's landlord, who my partner has nicknamed, the Bucket Woman. She immediately told me to bring my bins in by 9 a.m., because it made the street look messy. She demanded I move the posts, because the grass would grow through to her side. I explained the reason for the posts, and said that once the holes were filled in, let me know and I would move them. And hello to you too. Week 1 bin day 9:10 a.m. The Bucket Woman banged on my door. I'm still in PJs and leg brace. She complained about the bins. I said my bestie is coming by later to help me dress. I couldn't do feet, I'd bring the bins in later. When bestie pulled up, she had to park out front because my bins were in the driveway. I checked, the council bylaws don't have a deadline for bringing bins in. Next, Martin got temporary approval to work for home at my place. I got home and Martin was escorting the Bucket Woman off the property. The Bucket Woman thought nobody was home, and tried to sneak in to move the posts. Martin said next time, he calls the police. A few weeks ago the police arrived. Martin was at work and said a concerned neighbor called about a man and woman having a domestic dispute, and the man was destroying the fence. The Bucket Woman is out the front, watching. Once they're satisfied I'm okay and there's no damage, I explain about last week and show them security footage. Later, I see them speaking with the Bucket Woman. She isn't happy and she goes inside. I was working nights, and the police visit had taken up a lot of my precious sleeping time. I was fuming. Then the penny dropped. The Bucket Woman just let herself in while the tenants were at work. So I spoke to the tenants, and I was blunt. I asked if they were okay with the Bucket Woman being in the house while they were out, and said I'd seen her there at least once a week. In a nutshell, they were not okay with that. Later, one of the guys came around with a box of Chockies, thanked me and said they were moving out right away. The Bucket Woman was furious at me. She says I made her tenants leave, and got her in trouble with the rental agents too. She told me I made the street look messy and hang underwear on the washing line, so how will she get new tenants? I wanted so badly to tell her to get off my lawn. Update: I just got off the phone from the council. Someone has complained I removed a protected tree from my property. Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. Update 2, spoke to the council again. The complaint is definitely that the tree was removed. The tree is definitely still there, and visible from the street. Council are sending someone to inspect the tree. Martin and I will be there, armed with reports and photographs. I did my bit for democracy, and the nice neighbors from the other side were in the queue to vote ahead of me. They took their own photos of the storm damage to the tree, and OMG it was way scarier from their side of the fence. I've added their photos to the file. Next door don't have any problems with the Bucket Woman trespassing, but he's retired and she works from home. The bloke hates her guts and is happy to keep an eye on our backyard when we are out. Down in the comments.
Oh dear no. You hang your underwear up on the washing line to dry? I was on your side until that part. You're literally Hitler now. How will anyone on that entire street ever get a tenant again?
I know, I am a monster. Seriously, my washing line is lower than the height of the fence, so the only way she would see what I'm hanging there is if she was looking over it. Oddly, I can see her washing line, because it's higher than the top of the fence.
Next time, meet her while carrying a fully loaded super soaker. If she is on your lawn again, blast her with water. Repeat as necessary. Water, more like blue Kool-Aid. I'd go with bleach. filled with vinegar.
So the bucket woman has not learned her lesson. First thing we did was add more security cameras, so now most of the property is covered. And we were shocked to see how often she was coming onto our property and looking through our windows. I felt sick to my stomach. The reason she knows what's on my washing line is because she's coming into our yard and checking. Not going to lie, I had a bad period where I just blamed myself for bringing everyone else in the household into this. We spoke to the kids, and they find her annoying, but not creepy, if that makes sense. We're checking in regularly with how they're coping. Martin hand-delivered a letter to the bucket woman, telling her she is not allowed onto our property. Any communication about neighborhood issues should be directed to my solicitor, card attached to the letter. Since then, Martin has diligently checked the security footage and reported every instance of trespass on the police non-emergency line. A few days later, we had a visit from the police. The bucket woman rang 000 and said I had a dangerous dog, which attacked her. She claimed was injured getting away from the dog attack. The police checked our house and yard, and didn't find a dangerous dog. They did find 2 house cats, a house rabbit, and the disemboweled corpse of a catnip mouse, which was not taken for forensic examination. Martin pulled the security footage. I've been asked not to describe it in detail, but I can't decide what was funnier, the footage itself, or the sight of the police officer trying to keep a straight face. Also, if you do plan to trespass on your neighbor's property, and you startle easily, say, at an angry indoor cat, it's always quicker to run through an open gate than a closed one. Petty revenge component. I remain a free woman. Little cat is not declared a dangerous dog, and gets her favorite tuna treat, lots of head pats, and a new catnip mouse. Martin gleefully adds another report of trespass. And bucket woman looks like an idiot. Our next step was to replace the old side gate with something more secure. That led to more escalation from her side, and more petty revenge on ours. But cutting off her access to the backyard still hasn't stopped the bucket woman. We still find her in the front yard, looking through our windows, including mine and Martin's bedroom window. Our front yard is a quagmire when it rains, so we regularly find her tracks. Martin has taken to spite cleaning the garage every time he sees her tracks. The fence posts lying along the shared fence have turned into our hard waste pile. Every time he catches her trespassing, he adds a bit more junk to the pile. It's probably driving her crazy, but there's nothing she can do. Update. Martin went shopping on the way home, and he's brought home a motion-activated water sprayer, and a couple of rubber snakes. This may just be the most romantic present I've ever received. Tomorrow he installs the sprayer, and measures up for the window clings. Down in the comments.
When are you gonna file harassment or trespass charges against her? She needs mental help.
Let's just say that I am paying good money for good advice, and do not want to advertise what I could do next. But yes, I agree with you about possible mental health issues, and I've shared my concerns with the police.
You should compost under the windows in preparation for some landscaping. Let her stand in shit.
The irony is, I had money set aside to have the garden professionally landscaped, but that is now being used to pay for the good advice about dealing with her.
Motion-activated sprinklers for the front yard might make her rethink stepping foot on your property. Should it affect the yard more than a light rain does? But are you still hanging underwear on your clothesline? I do hope you go all out at Halloween and have some stuff that is motion-activated.
Still hanging my Reg Grundy's undie on the clothesline. Taking advantage of the free sunshine, when it happens. We don't really celebrate Halloween, but I desperately want one of those annoying pop-up gnomes that were being advertised a while back, that you can program to play a message. This is why we had motion-activated lights installed. I meant to share this one a while ago, but I got sick for a few weeks and didn't have the energy. After the vicious dog attack, our old side gate started to wobble alarmingly. Almost like someone ran into it full tilt while escaping an angry house cat. We reluctantly decided to demolish it, knowing that would leave us more open to bucket woman visits. But since the new gate was due to be installed later that week, we reasoned nothing bad could happen. This is also the story of how wrong we were. Martin demolished the old gate on Sunday afternoon, neatly stacking the remains along the side of the garage, near the bins. Later that night, about 11 p.m., I took my bucket of kitchen scraps out to the green bin. I didn't bother turning on the light, because I was intending a quick trip out and in, and there was enough available light. It's the middle of winter and close to freezing, and I wasn't planning to stay out there very long. I waddle out into the dark, wearing my dressing gown and slippers. I just reached the bins when I heard a noise in the yard behind me. I called out, "Who's there?" No answer. I call out again, "Who's there?" This time, a shapeless figure silently came towards me. I hurled the scraps bucket at it. The figure screamed, so I screamed louder. Since my brother wasn't available, I grabbed one of the bins and tried to use it as a shield, but I tripped and fell over the old gate. Then the lights came on, and everyone flooded outside. I was sat on my ass, looking up at the bucket woman, now wearing my kitchen scraps, babbling and waving some papers. Disclaimer: I didn't score a direct hit with the bucket, the contents just splashed her. Martin grabbed a cricket bat and growled at her, in a voice that would have frozen Hades, "Get out. Now." The bucket woman tossed her papers in the air and fled, shedding potato and onion skins as she ran. Okay. My irrational brain insists on replaying it like that, even though I know I only splashed her. My daughter rang 000, the neighbors rang, and so did the bucket woman. She said she'd come to serve legal documents on me, and I'd assaulted her. The police took the papers away, but left the scraps. So I limped away from this encounter slightly wounded, but still a free woman, and triumphant. When I am old, and in a nursing home, the memory of the bucket woman with my leftovers globbed on her legs will still make me smile. But wait, there's more. Sunday afternoon, Martin looked out the window at the remains of the old gate, and I could see an idea forming. Then he disappeared. I next saw him humping the old gate across the backyard and neatly piling the remains up against the shared fence, on top of the old fence posts. He came back in and said he'd moved the hard waste pile because it really is an eyesore for the rest of the street, and the bucket woman doesn't like it when we make the street look messy. The words hoist and petard spring to mind. Down in the comments.
What kind of legal papers was she trying to serve you? And what type of crazy person wouldn't ring the doorbell and just hand them to you? I've read your other posts, but you gotta wonder what she was looking for in your backyard before serving you with papers. It's obvious she's bat crap crazy. Wow.
Handwritten notes. There wasn't a file number, or anything that would identify a particular case. I won't share the contents, because hypothetically speaking, if someone were to seek some kind of order against her, those papers could become relevant to the making of that order. If that makes sense.
I don't understand how she hasn't been arrested for the repeated and documented trespassing at this point. What did the cops say?
Trespass by itself isn't necessarily a crime in my state. We report each instance of trespass to the police, and they decide whether a crime has been committed, and if it should be prosecuted. They have 12 months to do that. We could also go through the civil courts and obtain an injunction, but let's face it, she's not going to obey an injunction. She's not doing anything that warrants immediate arrest. She doesn't make threats, and she doesn't deliberately destroy property. If we see her, she usually leaves straight away, and often calls the cops on us. There might be a mental health disorder driving her behavior, but she doesn't meet the threshold for a compulsory mental health order. At the moment, there's not a lot anyone can do, except watch and be ready to act if her behavior reaches certain thresholds.
They make cheap spiders and roaches that are pull-activated that can be set up to be released from a motion-activated source. They come in many sizes, etc., and can be reused because if a flood of bugs comes at a person screaming at kitchen scraps, you got at least 10 uses as this woman doesn't know to stop. Add audio screams with it of, "Oh no, they got out," and "No, didn't want those out yet."
Saturday at OP's house. Names changed to protect the juvenile. The kids were all off doing their own thing, mostly involving mud and/or a football. Martin and I had brekkie, which included a liberal helping of YouTube videos of motion-activated sprinklers. Then Martin headed out to install our motion-activated sprinkler. After about 10 minutes, Martin stuck his head around the door, and said he'd invited his friend, Andy, around to help test it. I'm decent, so that's all good. Andy pulls up, and the pair of them start playing with the sprinkler, scientifically testing it for the optimal settings. Next time I look up from my reading, Terry, from across the road, has joined them. Judging by the hand gestures and laughter, they're telling Terry about the sprinkler. This is when I decide to go for a short walk. Exercise helps me think, and I have a nasty HR issue to resolve on Monday, I hope. When I get back, Sam has joined the group. Martin, Andy and Terry look like they've been showing Sam how the new sprinkler works. All four of them wave to me, and I head inside. Martin follows me, and says they're going to Bunnings. He thinks they've worked out how to place a second sprinkler so it blasts anyone looking into the front window, but people can still reach the front door if they stick to the paths. Martin and Andy get in the car and drive off. Terry and Sam go home. Eventually, the car backs into the driveway, and Martin opens the boot. There are 2 Robo Sprinklers, plus some extra hose and some other stuff I can't identify. Andy puts one in the boot of his car, and then comes back to help Martin install our second sprinkler. Terry and Sam also came back and all 4 of them played with it a bit. Scientifically adjust the settings so that legitimate visitors can approach the house without a squirting, but window peepers will get hit. In theory, the bucket woman could defeat the sprinklers by just turning the garden tap off. But she looks to be in her 60s and is built like the original, so we don't think she has the ninja skills to reach it. Martin, who is about 20 years younger than her, tried it and gave up, possibly due to excess laughter after someone called out, "The bouquet residence," the lady of the house speaking from the bedroom window. Andy, who is about 25 years younger than her, could do it, but discovered there is a very small margin of error before Darth's sprinkler activates. So, we might have lost the element of surprise. Most of me doesn't mind if the bucket woman has seen the sprinklers of doom being demonstrated, if it makes her stay away from the damn windows. But part of me would like the smug satisfaction of hearing a shriek and the sound of Darth's sprinkler going off in the night. The bucket woman was actually the sprinkler's second victim. The first was Max, short for Gluteus maximus, the neighbor's cat who has his morning pee on my rosemary plant. Max strolled across the sensor and Robo Sprinkler 2 activated. He got the shock of his life when that morning, the garden peed back. He ran back to his own yard like he'd been fired out of a cat cannon. Robo Sprinkler 1 fired on the bucket woman on Tuesday afternoon. Martin was working from home, but at the back of the house, and only knew something happened when the fluffy couch potato cat let out an unearthly howl and tried to hide between Martin and the chair he was sitting on. He got to the front room just in time to see the bucket woman disappearing behind the fence, so he went to check the security footage. I got a text asking if I wanted the good news or the bad news first. I was having a crap day, so I opted for the good news. I got 2 words back, "Got her." Then I asked for the bad news, and he texted, "Sorry about your rosemary. Oh, I only have 2 plants in the front garden that I really care about, and that rosemary is one of them. It's flowered nearly all winter, and I like watching the bees." When I got home, there was a group of people outside our house. I started to worry, thinking something terrible had happened. But I realized they were sprinkler devotees, and in the middle was my partner, performing the dance of his people. This account has been pieced together from looking at track marks, and observing the triumphant dance of the sprinkler people. It seems that the bucket woman entered through the gate, and headed towards the bedroom window, crossing Robo Sprinkler 1's sensor. Robo Sprinkler 1 fired on the intruder, and scored a direct hit, before starting on its arc. The bucket woman was startled, and ran back towards the gate. But Robo Sprinkler had started its return, and hit her a second time. She was startled again, denoted by some high leaps and exaggerated shrieking in the dance, changed direction, ran past the gate and body slammed my poor defenseless plant, before finding the gate and running back next door. The triumphant dance makes no mention of bees. But I picture a bunch of worker bees turning up to work at the rosemary plant following day and going, "Bloody hell, what happened here?" The interesting thing is that the Robo Sprinklers seem to have had a deterrent effect. This happened on Tuesday, today is Monday, and she hasn't visited since. We see her on the cameras pacing up and down out the front, but she's staying out of our garden and away from the windows. Martin came down with man flu on Wednesday, and a close family friend died on Thursday, so this has been a welcome respite. Nor have we been visited by authorities, Following up allegations I am keeping unlicensed bees or that my fluffy couch potato is really the hound of the Baskervilles. It's as if a couple of squirts of cold water have shocked some reality into her. Although to be fair, I don't know how long it takes the Department of Ag to follow up reports of unlicensed apiary, and I'm not even sure which agency regulates hounds of the Baskervilles. That may be still to come. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Since you made it this far, you must have enjoyed the video. Therefore, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment your opinion on the topic down below. Until next time, toodles.